I think from observing from the outside, the 49ers did really well in this draft. Not only did it reflect Lynch and his bunch, but it reflected great judgment and understanding of what this team needs. I'm going to come back to the defensive backs. I was brought up thinking, boy, you really need a pass rush. And I'm not saying you don't. You need everything. But in this day and age where it's almost like 7-7 football, where they're just throwing the ball, you need people who can cover. You need people who can cover areas and cover really significant wide receivers. And I think the Niners are building up. I think they have it right now and have put in good reserves. So I think it shows a change in philosophy. I think Shanahan's philosophy was a lot of rushers, a lot of defensive linemen, I should say, which is like back to Mike Ditka era. And I think what Lynch did, he brought them into the modern era on defense.
Absolutely. And it's like, I don't know, Bill Walsh was there a long time ago. He won his first Super Bowl with 3 rookies in his secondary. He never won anything without Ronnie Lott. He understood the importance of having great players in the secondary. And I guess Kyle Shanahan just figured it out, or John Lynch always knew. I mean, Lynch played for Bill Walsh. Lynch was a safety. He would probably understand how important it is. And all of a sudden, they got 3 DBs. We're talking about their defensive, their draft strategy. I mean, those were the only defensive players they took, DBs. Like, if I told you before the draft, hey, Dad, what do you think the odds are that the Niners take 3 defensive players and they're all DBs? We would have laughed, right? We would have laughed.
Because Iggy, in the past, you were always saying you need cornerbacks, and they, that was really before you were into quality control the way you are now. And they listened to you, but they never listened to you, and we knew how foolish they were. And I'm going to say foolish because Kyle doesn't get it. He's foolish in that area. Lynch does get it. Yes. I want to say one other thing, Iggy. Yes. And again, this is media, and I don't want to talk about local. I want to talk about national media. Now, you were always saying from day one, they ought to take this Trey Lance, and you've given all the reasons, which are persuasive. It seems to me that the national media really didn't advocate Mac Jones, but really thought they were going to take Mac Jones, right?
Yeah, everyone in the national media was like, look, it's not the pick I would make, but the Niners are taking Mac Jones. All my sources tell me they're taking Mac Jones, and if that's who Kyle wants, it's a good pick for them. That's what everyone said.
Iggy, this Cowherd guy, what's his name?
Colin Cowherd.
Now, didn't he say, I think they were going to take Mac Jones?
Him and his sources were saying it was probably going to be Mac Jones.
So he was typical of what happened with the national media. Who were these sources? I mean, obviously the sources were wrong.
Look, my best guess, and don't sue me, my best guess is it was Mike Shanahan. A lot of people who know him, Mike Silver, Adam Schefter, were real certain that it was going to be Mac Jones. And they were Mike Shanahan's technically not in the organization. He can say whatever he wants to say. But and I think if you heard it from Mike, you'd feel pretty confident about it because that's Kyle's dad. But Mike doesn't make the decisions in the Niners organization. John Lynch does. And I think Mike got overruled. That's my guess.
Did Silver also say they were going to? Michael Silver
was the first one. The first one.
That's
like the day it happened.
That is so interesting because Michael Silver. Now, no,
I don't fault him. I think someone very high up was telling him something because Adam Schefter said it. Schefter wouldn't guess.
Right. What Silver I want to say about Michael Silver is he's not at the level of Ira Miller because no one is as a reporter. Iggy, I don't want you to read that. I want you to look at
I'm not. I'm just putting it there so I don't lose it and the guy doesn't lose his $5.
But Michael Silver, I think, would be number 2, Iggy. Michael Silver is, I want to say, hi, Michael. Michael Silver is one hell of a reporter.
Yes.
He's connected. He's smart. He went to Cal. And also, he preceded me at the Press Democrat. And when he left to go to Sports Illustrated, he advocated for me. So I just love Michael Silver and I respect him. And if he said Mac Jones, then he was getting, as you say, maybe from Mike Shanahan or from Jed or who the heck knows. Yep. But the point is, a lot of people went that direction. And I find it very interesting. Very interesting.
Me too. Let's come back to this topic. I like the strategy that they did with the 3 defensive backs, but that was it. They had, I think, 8 picks and 5 of them were offense, 2 running backs, 2 offensive linemen, and a quarterback who doubles as a running back. It's interesting to see as the whole league goes to passing mode. It's a quarterback driven league. the Niners can't really compete with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in their own conference right now, but they can have the best run game in the league, which is what they had a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. What do you think of the idea of them just beefing up their run game?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. First of all, if you're running, it means you're giving the first punch.
Yep.
You're beating people up. You're giving the first blow. Number one. Number two, if they really have to worry about the run, they close in the box and it opens up the passing game for whoever it is. So I think it's I think it's a brilliant strategy. Absolutely. And it's clearly a philosophy because of what they did, Iggy. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
They didn't take any wide receivers, right?
0.
Which is unusual because Kyle is in love with them.
The first time since he's been here.
Iggy, do they have enough good wide receivers?
They do. They don't have a proven number 3 wide receiver, but you could argue they're not going to be doing a lot of 3 wide receiver stuff this year. They're going to be running the ball with Juszczyk on the field and Dwelly on the field. And I like Dwelly. Dwelly deserves more targets. Juszczyk deserves more targets. I think they can have a really, really good offense without playing a bunch of wide receivers. They have 2. Ayuk and Debo, they're really good.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is go through their receivers, rate a 1, a 2, and try to rate a 3. Richie James could be 1. And say what you like about each one, but order 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Ayuk is the number 1. Debo looked more like it the last couple. Debo's really good at what he does, those little end arounds and reverses and stuff, but Ayuk is going to be better down the field. You just couldn't tell because of Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't throw down the field. Well, Trey Lance has a strong arm who he does throw down the field. You're going to see Ayuk catch really big plays, 50-yard touchdowns, stuff like that. Plus he's really good after the catch too. He's pretty much a complete wide receiver. He's going to be really good. Debo is more of like a wide receiver running back hybrid. He's really good too. But not as like classic of a receiver. He's shorter. He has kind of short arms, and he'll drop passes. You just kind of give him a quick pass and let him run through people and break tackles. And then number 3, I like Richie James Jr. Whenever he gets a chance to play wide receiver, he does well. They don't let him play that much. He was behind Trent Taylor in the depth chart. He's been behind some stiffs, but when he plays, he's good. I think Richie James Jr. should be the guy to beat at that spot.
Well, those sound like some pretty good receivers to me, Iggy. Yeah. It sounds like they feel, aside from the fact that they may even run even more, but it sounds like they feel they have good receivers.
I think so. They also spent a third-round pick 2 years ago on a guy named Jalen Hurd who's been hurt, but he's still 23 or something. I'm sure they're giving him a chance. So, yeah, they have guys.
Is he gifted, Jalen Hurd?
He is very gifted. He's just been hurt a lot. They also have this backup tight end, Ross Dwelly, who I like a lot, who gets about 20 catches a year. He could get 40. He's never dropped a pass in his life or in his career in the NFL. He's good. Juszczyk doesn't get the ball enough. They have more than enough guys to throw to.
Dwelly has great hands.
Great hands, and he's 6'5". He could be the guy that they throw to in the red zone.
Do you know his parents?
I've met his parents, yes. I've met his parents. I've met his girlfriend. I've met the whole Dwelly family. Some of them are he's mostly from Sacramento. He has some of his family from Reno. They're very down-to-earth, nice people. And they invited me out for a drink before the Super Bowl in Miami because I wrote about him so much. And no one writes about Ross Dwelly. He's like the invisible man on the team. And they were just so pleased that I tell Niner fans, like, hey, he's actually pretty good. Don't forget about him. So they were really nice. They were really, really nice. Nice family. Yeah, very down-to-earth. He lives in San Diego with his girlfriend full time. They seem very happy. None of the Niners live in the Bay Area. I guess they take a look at Santa Clara and they're like, maybe I'll just rent. Maybe I'll just rent.
Yeah.
And nothing against Santa Clara.
It's also very expensive.
Very expensive
out here, and it kind of blows their mind how expensive it is. And the taxes. Let's not forget Bay Area. What you're paying in Bay Area. Like the sales tax is very expensive.
You know how Trey Lance was the number 3 pick and he's supposed to make more money than the number 4 pick and the number 5 pick, and the collective bargaining kind of he actually makes less money than a few of the people taken after him because of California state taxes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trey. All right, let's answer a couple of these questions. Thomas says, if Trey Lance, well, here's the last thing with the draft strategy. We've praised the DBs. We've praised the running game, but ultimately they're going to be graded and judged by the one pick, the trade up for Trey Lance. If he fails, who will be the first that's blamed?
Lynch.
Kyle can get out of it.
Yes, he should be.
Yeah, Lynch. Kyle can get out of it and be like, "Hey, man, I deferred to you.
I just coached the team.
Yeah, I just coached the team, man. You had real strong opinions. I liked Mac Jones. He's doing quite well in New England, but you wanted this guy. I gave it the best I could, but sorry, John. You put your career on the line with this one." Yeah, it's Lynch. Sean says 3 people in the same division run Kyle's scheme. Kyle is the only power version of his scheme. He's going to bully Carroll and McVay. That's a good point. A lot of people trying to run the old version of Kyle's scheme, and now he's using a more powerful between the tackles. Maybe he's staying a step ahead the way Bill Walsh might have. Last one. Shotgun Fitness says, best of the new age and old school. The father-son interactions and Lowell's laugh are legendary. I also notice on any given live show, only about 10% throw you guys a like. We're all Cohn heads. Show these guys some love. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was
very
nice.
nice.